Fanatics also reported a 100% increase in sales for WNBA specific merchandise. It started with Caitlin Clark.
They ignored the chartered flights. They ignored the jersey sales, the sold-out arenas, and the surging ratings. They ignored everything because it all pointed back to one name, Caitlin Clark. And that, more than anything, exposed a fault line running through the heart of the WNBA. While many players had been grinding for years, playing their hearts out in near-empty stadiums, doing everything right, the spotlight never found them. But when Clark arrived, a young white woman from Iowa with a sweet jump shot and star power that you just couldn't teach, everything changed. And not everyone was happy about that. The resentment? Understandable. But let's be clear, this was never really about Caitlin Clark the person. It was about what she represented. A shift in power. A disruption of the old guard. She became the face of a league that wasn't ready to admit it needed one. Just when it seemed like the WNBA had finally struck gold, like it was about to board. The Caitlin Clark rocket to financial relevance and cultural impact, everything came to a screeching halt. The Indiana Fever's announcement hit the sports world like a sucker punch. Clark was sidelined, a left quad strain, out for at least 2 weeks. Just like that, the WNBA's one-woman ratings machine was benched. Immediately, sports talk shows lit up like emergency signals. Fans panicked, and Stephen A. Smith, he exploded. If there was ever a moment for someone to sound the alarm, this was it, and Stephen A. was ready. ESPN's firebrand didn't just comment, he went scorched earth. While other league voices offered polite shrugs and vague well wishes, Stephen A. showed up like a human Molotov cocktail. And he made one thing clear. The WNBA had no one to, blame but itself. Because this wasn't just about Clark missing a few games. This was a stress test. And the WNBA, Stephen A. insisted, was about to fail it. Spectacularly. Let's talk facts. Clark was averaging 19 points and leading the league with 9.3 assists per game. But forget the stats for a second. Her real impact was on the scoreboard that really mattered. Viewership. Indiana's games were drawing an average of 1.17 million viewers. Without her, that number dropped to just 394,000. That's not a dip, that's a nosedive off a cliff. It's the difference between must-see TV and background noise. Indiana led the league in attendance, both at home and on the road. 4 different franchises had to move games to larger arenas just to accommodate the demand when Clark came to town. One player was responsible for nearly 50% of the overall league attendance growth. Her games didn't just draw, they transformed. And yet, in the face of this undeniable gravitational pull, what did the WNBA do? They shrugged, they downplayed. They allowed their golden goose to be hacked, shoved, elbowed, and targeted night after night like she was just another rookie. No special protection, no league-wide acknowledgement that maybe, just maybe, this one player was holding the whole ship together. Instead, players like Angel Reese got more airtime talking about why Clark was getting too much attention. Vets like Cheryl Swoops lobbed snide remarks, picking apart Clark's records and timeline as if trying to discredit her brilliance would elevate their own. And the commissioner? Kathy Engelbert seemed more concerned with not upsetting the locker room than maximizing the league's biggest draw in a generation. So now Clark is on the sidelines, and suddenly the WNBA is scrambling. Because this isn't just Indiana's loss, this is the entire league's crisis. And Stephen A. is there to say, "I told you so," loudly, repeatedly, with receipts. He's watched the league fumble every chance to ride the wave. When Clark broke records in her debut, the response should have been a league-wide celebration. Instead, it felt like a begrudging nod, as if acknowledging her success meant admitting failure elsewhere. But here's the truth. Clark's rise didn't dim anyone else's light. It illuminated the whole league. People who had never tuned in before were suddenly watching. Families, kids, NBA fans, newcomers. They weren't just watching Caitlin Clark. They were discovering the WNBA. And that's the whole point. You ride the wave. You don't fight it. But the WNBA tried to be egalitarian in a moment that demanded strategy. They ignored the data, the fans, and the optics. And now they're watching the repercussions unfold in real time. Sponsors are nervous, ticket resellers are slashing prices, entire arena sections are sitting empty for games that just a week ago were sold out. And while all of that happens, Stephen A is sitting on national television practically vibrating with fury because this didn't have to happen. Injuries are inevitable, yes, but the treatment Clark received, the beatings she took on the court without consequences, weren't. That was negligence, pure and simple. Clark took elbows to the ribs, blindside, screens that looked more like tackles, and hard fouls that went unanswered. No flagrant calls, no suspensions, just part of the game. And all while being the engine driving the most growth the league has ever seen. Now the league has 2 weeks, possibly more, without her. And that silence, that absence, that's going to speak louder than any promo or campaign. Viewership will crater. Arena energy will deflate. And maybe finally the WNBA will understand what it had before it lost it. Clark isn't just a player. She's the brand. She's the storyline. She's the reason your cousin, who's never watched a WNBA game, suddenly knows who the Indiana Fever are. Without her, the Fever are just another team. The WNBA is just another league. And fans? They're already tuning out. Social media is filled with posts from angry viewers promising to boycott until Clark returns. Some are calling for Engelbert's resignation. Others are just lamenting that the league didn't see what was right in front of them. The numbers don't lie. They never have. Clark drew 2.2 million viewers in a regular season game. That's playoff-level traffic. She was involved in 6 of the most-watched WNBA games across multiple networks last season. The Indiana Fever were central to every one of them. Coincidence? Not a chance. Clark became the first rookie to record 25 points, 5 assists, and 5 rebounds in a playoff game. She played all 40 minutes. Her jersey sales topped every list. Even her warm-up gear flew off the shelves. She was, by every measurable standard, the league's most valuable asset, and they treated her like a commodity, disposable, replaceable, a rookie. But Stephen A knew better. He's been saying it for months. And now the prophecy is unfolding. Games without Clark are seeing a steep decline in attendance. Ticket prices are down 50%. Secondary markets are flooded with unsold seats, and yet we're still seeing players who think the league can thrive without her. As if viewers were tuning in for their shooting percentage and not the Caitlin Clark effect. The truth? The WNBA has had great players before, but none of them have changed the trajectory of the league. Like this, Clark was different, is different. She made people care. And for a league that's been fighting for relevance, that kind of magic should have been protected at all costs. Instead, it was met with jealousy, with dismissiveness, with veiled critiques and outright hostility from within the league. And now Stephen A is reminding everyone that this was the moment that could have changed everything. A player who came in with no rest, went straight from college to pros, dominated from day one, and still found herself the target of resentment rather than celebration. It's infuriating, it's tragic, and it's avoidable. Clark could have been the centerpiece of a massive campaign, a rebranding effort, a league-wide rallying cry. Instead, she's on the bench, and the league is left looking around, wondering why nobody's watching. So here's the real question. What happens next? Do they learn from this? Do they finally step up and protect their stars? Do they acknowledge the obvious and start treating Clark like the generational icon she is, or do they let history repeat itself? Do they continue to act like this is business as usual and hope fans forget? Because make no mistake, Clark isn't going to be around forever. If the WNBA doesn't, figure this out, someone else will. Whether it's corporate sponsors, TV networks, or even international leagues offering better pay and better treatment. And if that happens, the WNBA won't just lose Caitlin Clark, they'll lose the future she represented. Stephen A is sounding the alarm now so they don't have to hold a press conference later, wondering how it all fell apart. So what do? We watch. We wait. And when the ratings come in, when the arenas go half empty, when those cameras zoom in on empty seats where fans used to stand and scream her name, that's when the reality will hit. Caitlin Clark was never just a good player. She was the WNBA's moment, and they let it slip away. If you agree with Stephen A, drop a comment below. Baby goat over baby giraffe. Like, subscribe, and turn on all notifications so you never miss a second of the fallout. the next few weeks aren't just about ratings. They're about reckoning. And if the WNBA wants to survive, it better start listening.